June 7th, 2021, 10:07 p.m. The 911 dispatcher's voice crackled through the static.
Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
When deputies arrived at the sprawling 1,700-acre hunting estate in South Carolina's Lowcountry, they found a scene of unspeakable horror. Near the dog kennels, in pools of blood under the humid summer night, lay two bodies. Maggie Murdaugh, 52, shot 5 times with a high-powered rifle. 2 bullets to the head. Paul Murdaugh, 22, obliterated by 2 shotgun blasts. The second shot so devastating it left nothing recognizable. The man who made that 911 call? Alex Murdaugh. Husband, father, 4th-generation lawyer from one of South Carolina's most powerful legal dynasties. And within 2 years, he would be convicted of their murders. But this story doesn't start with a double homicide. It starts years earlier with a pattern of privilege, entitlement, and bodies left in the wake of a family that believed they were untouchable. Welcome to Case File Chronicle. This is the fall of the House of Murdaugh. For nearly a century, the Murdaugh name meant something in South Carolina's Lowcountry. It meant power. It meant influence. It meant justice, or at least their version of it. 3 generations of Murdaugh men served as solicitors, the chief prosecutors of the 14th Judicial Circuit, for 85 consecutive years. From 1920 to 2005, a Murdaugh decided who got charged, who got deals, and who walked free across 5 South Carolina counties. When that era ended, the family pivoted. They built a personal injury law firm that became a money-printing machine, wrongful death suits, insurance claims, millions of dollars flowing through their hands. Richard Alexander Murdaugh, Alex to everyone, was the heir apparent. Tall, red-haired, charismatic, he married his college sweetheart Maggie. They had 2 sons, Buster, the older one, studious and reserved, and Paul, the younger wild, reckless and trouble from the start. The Murdaughs lived like Southern aristocracy. Private islands, sprawling estates, hunting lodges stocked with expensive bourbon and more guns than most armories. But underneath the polished veneer, something toxic was brewing. A culture of impunity, a belief that rules didn't apply to them. And when you're raised to think consequences are for other people, tragedy is inevitable. February 23, 2019, late evening. 19-year-old Mallory Beach was beautiful, kind, and full of dreams. She wanted to be an interior designer. She worked at a clothing boutique in Beaufort, South Carolina, and was deeply in love with her boyfriend, Anthony Cook. That Saturday night, she and 5 friends, all underage, decided to party. They met at Murdaugh Island, the family's private river property, before heading to an oyster roast on another island. Paul Murdaugh was one of those friends, and he had a plan. Earlier that day, surveillance cameras captured Paul walking into a Parker's convenience store. He used his older brother Buster's ID and his mother's credit card to buy beer. No questions asked. The clerk didn't even check. By midnight, the group of 6 was drunk. Paul, already slurring and aggressive, insisted on driving his family's boat to a bar in downtown Beaufort. His friends begged him to let someone else take the wheel. He refused. At the bar, Paul and another passenger, Connor Cook, pounded shots. Then they stumbled back to the dock. By 1:13 a.m., they were on the water again. Surveillance footage from the dock shows Mallory and Anthony walking together, hand in hand, back to the boat. It would be the last image of Mallory alive. What happened next, according to the other passengers, was terrifying.
Paul, what bridge is this? Paul, what bridge?
911, where's your emergency? Hello? Police, fire, EMS. Hello? We're in a boat crash on Archer Creek. There's 6 of us and 1 is missing.
Paul was driving erratically spinning donuts, speeding through pitch-black water. The boat's lights weren't working. Visibility was near zero. The fog was thick. His girlfriend later testified he was spitting on her, slapping her, leaving the wheel unattended to scream at her while the boat barreled forward at 30-plus miles an hour. I grabbed my girlfriend, one passenger later recalled, and got down in the bottom of the boat with my eyes closed. The next thing I know, I'm in the water. 2:20 a.m. The boat slammed into a bridge, piling at Archer's Creek. The impact was catastrophic. The front of the boat split open, a 6-foot gash tearing through fiberglass and metal. 5 passengers were thrown into the dark water. 4 surfaced. Mallory Beach did not. When deputies arrived, they found chaos. Injured teens, blood everywhere, and Paul Murdaugh standing there in his boxers, smiling. Anthony Cook, Mallory's boyfriend, was beside himself. His girlfriend was missing, possibly dead, and Paul was smiling. Anthony screamed at him. Then Anthony said something that would echo through the years. "Do y'all know Alex Murdaugh? That's his son. Good luck." The deputy later testified. That's when he indicated Paul couldn't be touched. Paul was never given a breathalyzer at the scene. His phone was found in the bushes, and instead of being held as evidence, an officer handed it back to him. At the hospital, Paul's blood alcohol level was 0.286, nearly 3 times the legal limit. He was belligerent, uncooperative, wearing only boxers. And then Alex Murdaugh showed up. Hospital staff later reported that Alex moved from room to room, talking to the injured teens. One security guard overheard him on the phone saying, "She's gone, don't worry." He allegedly told Connor Cook, "Don't say who was driving, I've got you." 8 days later, Mallory Beach's body was found 5 miles downriver. She had drowned. Blunt force trauma. She was 19 years old. Her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit. Paul was eventually charged but never handcuffed, never booked into jail. He posted a $50,000 bond and walked free. For 2 years, Paul Murdaugh awaited trial. He continued partying, he continued drinking, and his father continued to protect him. But in June 2021, 3 days before a court hearing that would have forced Alex to reveal his finances, everything changed. June 7th, 2021. Maggie Murdaugh didn't want to go to the family hunting lodge that night. She was staying at their beach house an hour away, and when Alex texted her to come meet him, she told a friend his behavior was fishy. But Alex insisted. He said his father was dying. He needed her there. She drove to the estate, left her car running, expecting to leave quickly. She never left. Around 8:44 p.m., Paul took a short video at the dog kennels. He was trying to show a friend his injured dog. In the background, you can hear Maggie's voice and Alex's. "Come here, Bubba," Alex says, calling one of the family dogs. 5 minutes later, Maggie and Paul were dead. Paul was shot first inside a small feed room near the kennels. One blast to the chest. Then, as he staggered forward, a second shot to the head. Catastrophic. Unrecognizable. Maggie heard the shots. She ran. Shell casings found at the scene show she tried to flee across the gravel, but Alex, wielding a rifle, now tracked her, brought her down, and fired 2 final shots into her head. It took less than 5 minutes. Then Alex got to work. He picked up Maggie's phone, walked with it, eventually tossed it from his car onto the side of a rural road. He changed clothes, cleaned up. His phone suddenly registered 283 steps between 9:02 and 9:06 p.m. far, more than any other period that night. Then he drove to his mother's house, stayed just long enough to be seen, and returned to the estate. 10:06 p.m.
Hampton County 911, where's your emergency?
This is Alex Murdaugh at 4147 Moselle Road. I need the police to answer immediately. My wife and child have been shot badly.
When deputies arrived, they found Alex Murdaugh standing near the bodies, wearing a clean white t-shirt. No blood, no dirt, no sign that he'd touched the blood-soaked corpses he claimed to have checked for pulses. One of the first things he said to investigators, "My son was in a boat wreck. He's been getting threats. I know that's what it is." It was a calculated deflection. Plant the seed early, blame someone else. But investigators weren't buying it. In the weeks after the murders, Alex played the grieving father, but cracks began to show. Maggie's sister later testified he wasn't focused on finding the killer. He kept saying his number one goal was clearing Paul's name. That felt strange. Then, in September 2021, Alex's law firm confronted him. They discovered he'd been stealing from clients for years, millions of dollars funneled into fake bank accounts. The next day, Alex claimed he was shot in the head while changing a tire on a rural road. Another lie. Within days, he admitted the truth. He'd hired a distant cousin to kill him so his surviving son Buster could collect a $10 million life insurance payout. The cousin failed. Alex was arrested, and as investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a sprawling web of crimes. He'd stolen $8.8 million from clients. He'd embezzled from his own law firm. He defrauded the family of Gloria Satterfield, their longtime housekeeper, who died in a mysterious fall at the Murdaugh home, stealing $4.3 million meant for her sons. And investigators reopened another case, the 2015 death of 19-year-old Stephen Smith, found dead on a rural road with a head wound. Rumors had long connected the Murdaugh family to his death. What they found in the murder investigation reignited that probe. January 25, 2023. Alex Murdaugh's trial began. The evidence was overwhelming. The kennel video placed him at the scene minutes before the murders. Despite his claims, he was never there. Cell phone data showed his frantic movements immediately after. Maggie's phone, found discarded along the route he drove. Gunshot residue on a raincoat hidden at his mother's house. The weapons, two family-owned guns, never recovered. Alex took the stand, a risky move. He admitted he lied about being at the kennels. He blamed his opioid addiction. He claimed paranoia. But the jury saw through him. After less than 3 hours of deliberation, they returned a verdict. Guilty. 2 counts of murder. 2 counts of weapons possession during a violent crime. Judge Clifton Newman sentenced him to 2 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. At sentencing, the judge said, "I know you have to see Paul and Maggie during the nighttime when you're attempting to go to sleep. I'm sure they come and visit you." Alex replied, "All day and every night." So why did Alex Murdaugh do it? The prosecution argued it was desperation. His financial crimes were about to be exposed. The boat crash lawsuit was closing in. Maggie was asking questions. Paul was a liability. If he could distract everyone with a tragedy, if he could become the victim, maybe the scrutiny would stop. Maybe he'd buy time. But Alex Murdaugh wasn't a criminal mastermind. He was a narcissist who believed the rules didn't apply to him. And when that delusion finally crumbled, he made one final, horrific calculation. His wife and son were in the way. In the end, it was Paul's own voice captured in that 8:44 p.m. video that convicted his father. Justice from beyond the grave. Today, Alex Murdaugh sits in a South Carolina prison. He's appealing his conviction, claiming jury tampering. So far, every appeal has been denied. Mallory Beach's family received a $15 million settlement from the convenience store that sold alcohol to Paul. Stephen Smith's case remains open, and the Murdaugh name, once synonymous with power, is now synonymous with murder, fraud, and betrayal. The dynasty has fallen. This has been Case File Chronicle. Remember, no one is above the law.